All right, students, leaders, coaches, let's put together for UFC welterweight and lightweight champion, Mr. BJ Penn.
Awesome. Wow. Welcome, man. That's good stuff back there. It makes me want to dance a little bit. Huh? Ladies and gentlemen, give up for BJ Penn one more time for being here at Character Combine. We want to thank you for being here and just being a part of this day. You know, we believe that these coaches and these athletes are the ones that are going to make the difference, and your voice of influence really matters to them. So first and foremost, on behalf of Character Combine, thank you for being here.
Thank you guys for having me.
We just want to ask some Q&A questions, just talk a little bit about not only your fights in the UFC, but also just about your passion for resilience and character and the way that you poise yourself. But I just want to know, and since I get to ask the questions, I just want to know the first one is like, so what was your first fight like? And I'm not meaning in the UFC. I want to mean like on the playground. Was it over like someone was playing hide and seek and just you put the mat down on them or what?
You know, I remember when I was pretty small, maybe fourth or fifth grade, I remember me and this kid were kind of getting into it in the gym. And, you know, back then they had the big headgear braces, and I remember grabbing his headgear and going like this, and I think I might have punched him, I don't know. And I remember walking around the gym after, in the back of the gym, and I started throwing up because there's just so much excitement, you know.
A lot of emotion.
Yeah, a lot of emotion.
You don't still throw up before a fight, do you?
No.
Because, you know, a lot of that energy, a lot of that endorphins start kicking, you know, yeah, butterflies.
You know what, all that stuff, you know, I mean, you want to maybe have the feeling you want to throw up or cry or all these things, but, you know, I realize over time it's better to keep all that in. You know, once you let it out, you kind of lose it. So hold that emotion and don't let it out.
We were talking a little bit backstage about the pre-fight emotion, and you know, what do you feel before a pre-fight? I mean, before you come out, and there's a day or so before the weigh-ins in the fight. Is that accurate?
Yes.
So a day or so, and then you got a lot of buildup that goes there. What's going on in your mind as a fighter? Because you're not just fighting your own fight, but you're fighting for the islands. You're fighting for who you are. Talk a little bit about that.
You know, when you start getting close to the fight and the competition is coming around the corner, you just you feel the pressure building and everything. So the most important thing I try to do is try to make sure I get as much rest as I can, as much sleep. I try to stay off my legs as much as possible, you know, and really try to build up my strength because, like you said, all that pressure, and I mean, that itself can drain you before the fight. I mean, if you sit there and start worrying and start biting your nails and all kinds of stuff, you know, it's just like if me and a guy are like in front of each other and we're boxing or something, I'm not going to react until he throws the punch. I'm only going to react when the punch happens. So, you know, the day before the fight or even before I get to the arena, there's no sense to sit there and think about the fight because it's not happening at that time.
That's good input. So, you know, when you move towards the ring, you're starting to go higher and higher. You're starting to peak a little bit. You come into the ring, and talk us through that. I mean, we've never experienced that.
You know, when you're going to the ring, and we talked earlier, like, you know, maybe right before the ref is like, "Are you ready?" And you ready? You know, you guys, and I guess what kind of, you know, it's like all bets are off, you know. I mean, you're going in, I mean, you're just going to accept what's going to happen. You know, it's just like if you're on a plane with a lot of turbulence, there's nothing you can do, so don't even worry. You know what I mean? You just might as well relax. And, that's kind of, I just feel like, you know, all the talk, all the anything, that doesn't matter, that you could have set up a million things, that all doesn't matter right now as soon as he steps in and you guys are going to compete. It's just, that's how I feel. I just feel like all bets are off and nothing, you know, this is just what's going to happen and accept it.
It's full tilt at that point.
Yep, it's full tilt.
You're a professional fighter. Does fear ever enter into the equation? I mean, maybe not the fear of your opponent, but just like the fear of the outcome, or maybe a fear that you're not ready, or fear that maybe you have a lingering injury. Is there any fears that you're dealing with?
You know what? I mean, definitely before, when I was earlier in my career, maybe eight or 9 years ago, I'd feel maybe that type of fear, like I'm not ready. You know, and always things could happen. You know, you could get injured before the fight or whatever. You know, you never know what's going to happen. So, I mean, you're going to feel a type of fear. But I guess it always changed as time went on. Now kind of like since I have a daughter and stuff, like kind of a fear, maybe a different, like I don't want to get hurt, or I don't want to be like have a busted up face and come home and her be like, oh, boo boo, boo boo, you know.
How old is she?
2.5. So that's the first thing she does. Oh, boo boo, look.
Daddy, you got jacked, you know, whatever. That's crazy.
But
because she's probably, you know, she sees that and she probably has fear about you having a wound or a boo boo.
Yeah, that's
Did I say it's boo boo to BJ?
But and another thing, like you said, the fear of the outcome. I think that's the one that everybody deals with the most. You know, the fear of the outcome. I mean, you're gonna sometimes sit there and think like, hey man, I could really get hurt today. But you know what? That doesn't come as much. It's more about, you know, doing what you gotta do. But I mean, what's that saying? I mean, show me a man who's afraid to lose, and I'll show you a guy you can beat every time. You know, so you just gotta go out there and, you know, just like poker. I'm not a poker player, but I know when they say all in like this, that's just what you gotta do. You just gotta go all in, roll the dice, let the cards fall where they may, and accept it.
Looking back over your career, do you have a fight that you think back on, and regardless of the outcome, you go, man, I like that fight. That was fun.
You know what? I still say till today, even championship belts that I won or anything, my first time walking to the octagon, and back then they only played the UFC music. Nobody had their own song, so it was just like you know. So kind of walking down, and I just always remember that was my first time in there. You know, break the ice and pop your cherry, get in there, and it was just you know, it's just an amazing feeling. And no matter what I do, that's always will be my favorite fight, my first time.
When you look back on it, do you have any fights that you think about it and you rehearse in your mind, or once you move past a fight, you move past it?
I do. Unless I'm gonna fight the guy again in a rematch, I'll probably hardly ever watch that fight again.
For us, the average fan, is a rematch always necessary, or is it just kind of protocol in the fighting world that if you have a fight that maybe you lost the belt, you're entitled to a rematch? How does that work? I mean, just for the average Joe fan, I don't know.
It's all up to Dana White. You know, it's all up to those guys. You know, whatever they want to do, it's all their call.
So we were talking in this session about character really drives resilience, and resilience is the ability to keep pressing forward. You're, in my opinion, one of the most resilient fighters because you just keep moving forward. How do you stay resilient?
Well, you know, I mean, talking about the resilience, you know, that's the true mark of a person. You know, when everything's going good, you know, and everything is all high fives and everything. Yeah, life is great, but you know, some bad things happen. I mean, it's a tough sport, competition period. Life is tough, you know what I mean? Bad things are gonna happen. Sometimes you're gonna fall flat on your face, and that's the true test. To stand back up after that, and that is what it's all about. That's what mixed martial arts is all about. That's what sports is all about. That's what life's all about. What are you gonna do after you didn't get what you wanted to achieve? Now what are you going to do? You're going to go back and get it?
Yeah, that's a good answer. Do you feel like it's easier to be resilient while you're on top and winning, or is it easier to be resilient when you're hungry because maybe you're coming off of a tough fight, even a loss?
You know, you bring up a good point, and that's why I really see like people you see like a person become a champion, and then he's not anymore, and then he becomes resilient and gets back up, because it's true. You know, maybe I wouldn't say he gets complacent, but maybe he doesn't have that goal for that guy to look for. He's waiting for someone else to take him down, and then after he loses, I mean, you see it all the time. The guy comes back way better than he ever was, you know, and I see that in a lot of different fighters in the UFC.
So you're talking to high school athletes, maybe they're not getting the starting position they want. Maybe they're not playing at the level they want. There's a hunger there. What are some encouraging words that you would say to them as they're developing their career in any sport, really regardless, whether it be fighting or football, volleyball or soccer?
You know, I mean, it's 3 simple words. It's never give up. I mean, you know, it's tough, man. It's tough out there, and you just, you know, to all you people out there, you guys can be anything you guys want to be, really. You know, I never believed that as a kid, but as I get older, you know, if you think you're second best, then you're right. You're better than everybody else, but you're not better than the best guy. you know, so it's all right there. And you just got to keep positive and keep, no matter, even if people on the side are saying, you know what I mean? Because you're always going to have critics. You're always going to have people, you know, oh, you're not good enough for this and that. And you just got to just push them on the side and just stay focused, stay on your plan. Don't even tell anybody how you're going to do it, because they might try to poison you. Say, you shouldn't do it like that. Just stay on your path. You know what to do, and just keep going. Don't listen to anybody. Just keep going.
Great advice. It makes me think of the fact that, you know, you're in the industry where there is a lot of critics, blogging, forums, commentators, other opponents, other trainers. How do you deal with the criticism? Because everybody's an armchair quarterback. Everybody has their 2-cent take on what you should have and would have and could have done. How do you block it out, or do you even try?
Yeah, well, I used to try, but now I just realize, you know, there's nothing you can do about it. And it's what is that? The saying, in your 20s and 30s, you're wondering what everybody thinks about you. In your 40s, you don't care what anybody thinks about you. And in your 50s, you realize they weren't thinking about you at all.
Right. Yeah, that's good. That's really good. A couple practical thoughts here, and we want to be sensitive of your time. But again, we thank you for being here. Let me just ask you this. A lot of people here are UFC fight fans, and there's so much growth in the sport. I mean, it's taken off. It's exploded. Where do you see it going in the next 5 years? Where do you see BJ Penn going in the next 5?
You know, I see this sport going. Every country, they all have like a traditional martial arts. So I just see it spreading throughout the world, and it very well could possibly end up being maybe the biggest sport in the world or one of them. And for me, you know, I've been fighting since I was 22. I've been with the UFC for 10 years now, and you know, I'm just gonna try to just stay healthy and get in the game healthy. And I'd love to put another 5 years in there. You know, we'll see what happens. I mean, that's kind of stretching it to 37. I mean, I'm no Randy Couture. That guy's crazy.
Yeah, he still wants to. He is. That's good. Do you have any fighters that you really like to watch? I mean, you just say they're fun to watch.
No, you know what? I'm actually a fan of probably most of them, or maybe all of them. You know, and they all show me I'm just watching him fight. Not if it's a guy I fought and beat, I'm like, wow, look at that move that he just did. You know, and it's just I think the camaraderie, even though we're not really friends and hang out with each other, but just because we're all around all the fight game and stuff, we all share like a mutual respect. So
you see some of these fighters, they seem mad at each other at the weigh-in. Is that just part of the fight build-up, and is there a mutual respect afterwards that even backstage a couple days later there's camaraderie? Well,
as you start, you're still the fight week, when you get there, you're still a normal person, but as you start getting closer to the fight, you kind of start crossing over onto a mean side, you know. You're a different person. So they're all there, and they all know. I mean, that guy's trying to take your food off your table, and you know.
I hear that a lot. You're trying to take food off my table or money from my family. They use that as a motivation.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that is the fact of the matter.
Last question for you here. You got a lot of coaches out here. We've talked a lot for the players' advocacy for the coach. What's the best advice you give a coach here if they're trying to motivate one of their players or trying to lead their players, especially with this resilience to keep bouncing back? You have a lot of young fighters that look to you, and they're probably down and sometimes needing some voice of encouragement. What are some words of encouragement, or what would you say is some advice?
I usually just, you know, if I see someone down or he just had a bad fight, you know, I just try to tell them to keep their head up and, you know, keep going, and things will get better. And one more saying, tough times never last, but tough people do, right? You just stick it out and keep going, and you're gonna make it. And that's what I say to most of my guys, you know, keep your head up. And I mean, we all say it to each other as people who are, even if I see another UFC fighter, maybe another champion who's walking out, he just lost, I'll look at him and hey, keep your head up. I love watching you fight, you know, and it happens all the time.
You think the kid that you rattled his braces and thing, what do you think he's thinking right now today? Like, hey, I know BJ Penn. He ripped my headgear off. You think he's out there? Do you know who he is?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he's probably in Hilo. He's around.
That's awesome. Hey, this is BJ Penn. Would you give it up for him?
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, BJ Penn, thanks for being here, man.
And good luck in everything. Good luck in everything, folks. Thank you, guys.
Put your hands together one more time for BJ Penn.